welcome back. Taking you back to tonight's top story, BC's announcement on ride-hailing. The province says services like Uber and Lyft will not be available until late next year. Before that happens, there will be hundreds more taxis on the roads, and figures show that the taxi industry has donated $223,000 to the NDP since 2005. Today on CBC Radio, Transport Minister was asked if that had an impact on the decision.
As far as I'm concerned as Minister, it's had no influence. What I'm looking at is public policy. I'm looking at ensuring that we have an existing industry that is allowed to develop in a modern way, that we can support it. As I say, in BC, there are more than 8,000 families that depend on taxi, and that's significant, 8,000 jobs that are there. So that's a significant issue.
For a different perspective, I'm joined by architect and planner Michael Geller. Welcome, Michael. So, Michael, you're a supporter of ride-hailing. Now, we heard the minister say they deny that they are bound to the taxi lobby. What's your response to that?
They're bound to the taxi lobby. I discovered it 10 years ago when I ran for city council and discovered the taxi owners were my new best friends. And I think that is a very important part of this discussion.
So what part of that are you seeing is playing out here?
I think that the government recognizes that the last government perhaps lost the election because of its support for ride-hailing. And I think this government wants to be very, very cautious. And to be fair, I mean, a lot of the taxi drivers have a significant investment in their licenses, and I think people are careful. They don't want to hurt them. At the same time, I think society is being hurt by not having the ride-hailing in Vancouver.
Now, ride-hailing is not a new concept. It's been around for a couple of years now. Do you think the province has had enough time to work through some of the challenges with it?
Of course they've had enough time. But what I think they're trying to do now is to come up with a made-in-BC solution. I've heard that a couple of times today. And what that could well be is a program put forward by the taxi industry rather than Uber and Lyft. I mean, some have said to me, oh, how do you feel about having to wait another year for Uber? I haven't heard that today. I've heard we're going to have to wait another year, and I still don't believe we'll get Uber, and that's disappointing.
So you still don't believe that we're actually going to get Uber even by late 2019?
No, I don't. I haven't heard anybody commit themselves to it. And I'd like to hear it because I believe that by having programs like Uber, it cuts down on drinking and driving. It helps housing affordability by allowing people to get by without a car. And I think it's very important to get that. But in the meanwhile, I do hope we'll see some improvements to our broken taxi system, because too often we see taxis deadheading, which means a taxi goes from Surrey to Vancouver and then has to go back to Surrey empty. That's something that could be fixed right away.
Well, there are going to be some changes to the taxi industry as a result of today's announcement. And Minister Trevena did say they will be introducing legislation to open this up to ride-hailing come fall. Now, there are hundreds of cities around the world that have ride-hailing already. And as you mentioned, they may be looking for a made-in-BC solution. They say they want to be methodical. Do you think there's something different about BC that from some of the other cities out there?
No, I think throughout the world, taxis are often very involved in politics, taxi owners. But I think we do have a particular system here. And I don't accept that because we have public insurance or because of the other considerations and safety that we have to be so protective of the taxi industry. I would like to join with all of those people who are watching right now who say Uber and other ride-sharing programs could be a great lift and benefit for our province.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there today. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your views. Michael Geller.
Thank you.
You're looking at a live shot.